they're nostalgic.
It's time to talk about the live-action Scooby-Doo movies from the early 2000s, written by James Gunn and directed by some guy. Grant, what's the plot of the first Scooby-Doo movie?
So basically, the Scooby Gang solves a crime, a mystery, and they break up and they go their separate ways. And then it cuts to some time after where they're all mysteriously invited to an island and some spooky shit starts happening. And then the monsters are real. And then hijinks ensue. The end. It was Scrappy-Doo all along.
True.
Basically,
Facts.
So, Aidan, what'd you think of the original Scooby-Doo written by James Gunn?
It's good. Yeah. I think, I don't know. The CGI is aged very badly at this point, which is expected. I don't know. It's weirdly adult in some places. It's a very horny movie. And they make lots of weed jokes, like Shaggy's love interest being named Mary Jane. And various other moderate weed jokes and horniness. Lots of horniness. And a lot of the horniness got cut out and put in the deleted scenes, but it's also still a very horny movie. There's a lot of really bad music in it. There's a lot of just...
Featuring the Baja Men and
There's a lot of fucking ska on this soundtrack, and it's stank, dude.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking Crazy Taxi 4 soundtrack right there. I think it's moderately clever. I think in the end the mystery just ends up being kind of lame when it's Scrappy. And Mr. Bean is Scrappy. But there's some fun set pieces that are a little goofy. Mostly the Haunted Castle stuff is where the movie gets like kind of interesting with its set pieces. I don't think the weird rabbit demon things are very interesting as villains. And the stakes aren't very well established because some guy on the beach is just like, if this happens, all the demons will take over the world for 1,500 years. And everyone's like, alright. And it kind of moves on. I mean, I don't know if it's just nostalgia, but it kind of hits that weird fucking early 2000s scrunge that I kind of enjoy.
It is exactly the early 2000s in a nutshell.
Yeah, pretty much. Bad CG.
Ska.
Lots of interesting soundtrack picks. A lot of pop songs.
Pop ska.
I'm wondering if
hard ska.
James Gunn wrote into the script, now play the Baja Men.
Insert ska here.
Insert ska. It's just every other page. Insert ska. James, you wrote 90 pages. Every page just says ska here.
I like pretty much the entire main cast. Freddie Prinze Jr. is a good Fred. Buffy is a good Daphne.
Whoever plays Velma.
Hawkeye's wife.
Who?
Hawkeye's
Who?
wife.
Hawkeye's. Oh yeah.
Hawkeye, the guy who's like, I'm gonna kill myself. Hawkeye.
No,
The guy who got ran over by
Jeremy Renner in the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner, who got run over by a snowplow in real life, in the Marvel movies, is married to Velma.
Yeah, the guy.
But not in real life, just in the Marvel movies. She's
okay.
the guy. And then Matthew Lillard as Shaggy, pretty good.
Amazing Shaggy.
I don't know what Mr. Bean is doing here and who that was supposed to appeal to. He's here and he doesn't do a lot and he's not funny. But otherwise, it's enjoyable early 2000s scrunge with a ironically good ska soundtrack, and it's kind of fun. And Connor, what do you think about the Scooby-Doo movie?
It is the most dated movie I've seen in a while. It is a movie that is carbon dated. Historians in a million years will say this movie came out between 2000 and 2004. They'll be able to date exactly when. Spiky punk haircuts, and those spiky-haired punks
There's
are
a lot
listening
of
to frickin'
spiky
Smash
hair.
Mouth.
There's a lot of frosted tips and a lot of spiky hair.
There's some funny shit in it. Like, it's a good time.
There's
What-
a couple of gags that work.
It's shot like shit. The performances aren't great.
I don't know.
It's serviceably shot.
Everybody's great at who they are, and it kind of works. My thesis is, while the performances aren't great, it kind of works on that Hanna-Barbera level.
I mean, this movie definitely knew it was camp.
And while the original Scooby-Doo series is hard carbon dated to the 1960s and late 60s, early 70s when it came out, this is hard dated to the 2000s. Was that intentional? Probably not. But you look at it and it modernized Scooby-Doo.
It was always
Not
camp.
modern to today, but modern to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago, this shit was cutting edge, hip with the kids, etc., etc. It's an interesting watch.
Back when ska was cool.
Yeah, everyone listened to
You
Smash
know,
Mouth unironically.
And
you
it's
guys
funny
remember when
because culture hasn't changed much since like
Do you guys remember
2010, but culture changed a lot in like the 6 years between when this came out, and even the sequel is
Did
a
I-
lot less carbon dated than this.
Did I tell you guys about the time I went to the ska concert?
Yes,
When I went to Nick's house?
you mentioned it.
And then we there was a ska concert at the bar in the basement. And there was a guy in a full steampunk robot costume that kept breakdancing and kicking people in the legs. It was awful. And then I ran into Garrett Raybon there. Because of course I did.
Ooh.
And I said,
In Duluth?
yeah, when I was at Nick Pond's house, I went to a ska concert for New Year's, and the steampunk man was there, and he kept kicking people in the legs, trying to break dance in
Well,
his
I heard
full
the
robot
rest of it.
costume. And then Garrett Raybon was there, and Eva was also there. It was really awkward. And me and Garrett were like hanging out. At first, I couldn't tell if it was Garrett. I saw him like from across the room, and I elbowed Paul, and I was like, "Is that Garrett?" And he's like, "I don't know. I think it's Garrett." And I was like, he looks like French Stewart, because Garrett looks like French Stewart." And then I went over and I said, "Bon?" And then Garrett hung out with us for a while, and Eva was there too for some reason.
Yeah, I remember when Eva cold called me when I was working at Target, and was like, "You want to fuck?" And I was like, "No,"
I remember when
because Eva just apparently tried to fuck literally anybody.
when me and Paul discovered the flaw in the school's email server, and we figured out how to reply all to every student at our college, and the email server literally started on fire, and Eva called me and said, "I'm getting 1,000 notifications a minute, you need to stop this." I was like, "I can't stop it, I started it, but there's no way for me to stop it." Eva didn't like me very much. Also, I called her a fat bitch a lot, which she deserved. I'm not sexist, she was just a fat bitch.
Anyways, Grant, what did you think of Scooby-Doo 1?
It's alright. I mean, it's not bad. Like, bad. Serviceable. Probably fine to show your kids.
Is it?
Maybe cut
It's
some
a really
parts out.
horny movie.
Cut some parts out, like Daphne writhing on the couch as the monster comes out of her. Everyone looking at each other and body swapping. It's kind of weird.
Low cut Velma and the deleted scene with Velma in a bikini trying to make out with Daphne and etc.
It was honestly, I think I would have rather seen that kind of movie because it sounds a lot campier. No, not in that way. Like if James Gunn,
way, Bill.
if James Gunn was just allowed to go wild with the whole series, that'd be funny as hell, and also pretty neat.
Very horny movie.
But
What did you think of Mr. Bean, aka Johnny English?
he was in 5 scenes.
Yeah.
And
4 of the scenes, he walks up to the game, he says, "Hello, I'm the guy," and then he walks away.
would you have sex with Mr. Bean?
How much money is he paying me?
$12.
Million?
Well,
For the story, maybe. Like, hey,
1,200 pennies if you
he wants to
prefer.
be on top.
he does the Mr. Bean voice the whole time.
Mr. Bean doesn't talk. He just makes noises.
Hey, Lord. No. I thought it was all right. It was just the right amount of camp. It wasn't. It didn't hate the original
Grant
material.
loves ska music.
I enjoy strong.
Yeah, I can tell.
It didn't hate the original series like Mindy Kaling did for Velma. You know, confirmed legal pedophile Mindy Kaling, registered sex offender.
She's not a registered sex offender yet.
Yeah.
She's a potential registered sex offender.
Oh, it's not. It's a disclaimer that says all views expressed in this video are parody. There you go.
You think Mindy Kaling and Drake and Tom Hanks are all gonna share a cell?
They're gonna fucking.
That'd be the crossover.
If we die, it's because of the fucking the P Squad from Hollywood. Tom Hanks, Mindy Kaling, and Drake. Kevin
Mindy
Spacey.
Kaling knocks out the
I
door.
like how Kevin Spacey got a Lifetime Achievement Award in Italy somewhere this year. It's like somewhere in Italy.
I mean, that's
Lifetime
always been
Achievement
fucking
Award.
Italy's
Shut up.
thing, because Italy's been giving Roman Polanski awards every year for the last like 30 years, even though he fucking like banged his 8-year-old fucking niece and married her.
No, you're thinking of Woody Allen, who
Oh, you're right.
unadopted his kid at
He also did
18
that.
so that he could do that.
Ugh.
Hey, Roman Polanski just deadass raped somebody's 13-year-old. Not
Anyway.
his.
Yeah, I thought
For
Scooby-Doo
better or
was
for
okay.
worse, you know.
Scooby-Doo
I don't
was
think
alright.
there's a before better in that situation.
For better or for worse when compared to Woody Allen.
Scooby-Doo was a good movie.
I don't know if there's a before better in that situation.
I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Woody Allen consensually married his daughter.
I enjoyed Scooby-Doo. Aidan, did you enjoy Scooby-Doo? The James Gunn, written by, directed by Who Cares?
It's good. It's a fun, campy, awkward, ska-filled time capsule. Horny. The women are hot, so it's okay that it's horny. Movie. And it's kind of fun.
Wow, that was
And
sexy.
it's kind of lame. I think it gets a little boring in the middle.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then it picks up a little bit at the end, but the rabbit demons are not threatening enough. They should have come up with something cooler.
They should have killed someone. They should have decapitated a park goer. Like Velma wakes up and
They should
there's a
have.
head on her bed.
They should have decapitated the girl from Now You See Me 1, but she wasn't in Now You See Me 2. The best movie series of all time.
Hey, number 2, I've never seen.
Put a CG car
it's a-
flicking back
it's
and
a
forth
good-
between them.
It's a good movie, Connor. It's a good movie.
Alright, let's move on.
I gave it a 5 on Letterboxd. Because it deserves.
Yeah, it does. There's fucking getting. You literally deserves me fucking following it for 3 miles in a ski mask in my car and looking back and thinking something on my car but not thinking enough of my car to call the police and me violating it in a dark alley.
What about the part where
Just kidding.
Jesse Eisenberg makes the rain go up instead of down?
That was a cool magic trick.
And then Morgan Freeman is there for some reason.
Cut out my rape joke. Let's keep going. Alright. Do you have something important to ask me, Aidan?
Oh, am I the host for this whole thing? Okay, Connor, what's the plot of Scooby-Doo 2?
No! You gotta say, would you recommend Scooby-Doo 1?
Would you?
Sure. 2.5 out of 5. It's okay. It's a cool time capsule
I'd give it
of the
more than
early
that.
2000s. Well, I'm not you. So
2.5,
I give it
yeah.
2.5 out of 5.
2.5 sounds good.
I give it a
I'm
5
thinking-
out of 10.
I'm thinking a 3.5. Because it has
Okay.
ska music in it.
Okay, well, moving on.
If it didn't have ska music, it'd be a 2.
Moving on, I'm the host of this. You're not.
I
Okay.
hosted this.
Scooby-Doo number 2.
Wait, hold
Aidan,
on.
what's the plot? Fine, if we're taking a vape break, if you're gonna cut out this vape
Cut it
break.
out. No, I'll cut it out. It's fine.
We have professionalism, Grant. We cut the fucking vape breaks out of our Drunkview.
Was Drunkview better when we had a 1.5 minute long vape trick compilations at the start of every episode?
No.
Start and end.
I miss the old days of Drunkview, where you guys would just ramble for an hour,
We still do that.
as opposed to.
But now we ramble for 15 minutes because I said we should shorten it up and take out the vape comps.
I miss the Logan review, man. You need to go back to your roots.
Grab Scoob.
I could make the logo.
Grab
Grab
Scoob.
I'm not grabbing Scoob.
I'm not grabbing
I'm in
Scoob.
the middle seat and I'm couch locked.
I'm couch
I'm
locked.
drunk.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Couch locked. I
Come.
have a life-size Scooby statue. Watch our Scooby.
Yeah, we've
Watch our
seen it
Scooby-Doo Velma series review to get the whatever. Okay, what up?
What is the plot of Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, a movie that was also written by James Gunn and directed by the same guy who I don't know the name of?
Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed is the end of the Scooby-Doo trilogy, and the second one was never made. Scooby-Doo's greatest foes come to life. Scooby-Doo's greatest foes come to life, and there's a man in a cheap Spirit of Halloween costume that flies around and narrates the fact that Scooby-Doo's greatest villains have come to life, all while the public thinks Scooby-Doo sucks.
And Seth Green is there.
And Seth Green is there because Velma
But not
gets
much.
the hots for Seth Green.
Seth Green is also only
So,
had like 5 seasons.
Grant fucking Newkirk. What is the plot of?
Have we ever told
Wait,
the
what
Grant
is-
fucking Newkirk story on this channel?
No.
No, we haven't.
No, you haven't.
Grant fucking Newkirk. What is?
That's a
what
pretty
do
good
you
prank
think?
call, though.
Grant fucking Newkirk. What do you?
You know who I am? I'm Grant fucking Newkirk Sr.
Oh, Grant fucking Newkirk's dad. Grant fucking Newkirk. Oh man, that's pretty good. Grant fucking Newkirk. What did you think of Grant fucking Newkirk 2 Monsters Unleashed?
That was okay. There's some funny moments, and the plot's pretty okay.
Do you think it'd be better if it was hornier?
No, maybe. Let me think about it. It is kind of horny still. I mean,
You
Velma
fuck.
wears the latex suit.
Seth Green.
Got one horny scene.
Grant, my biggest question for you is, would you fuck Seth Green? As a gay man, would
No,
you?
no.
As a gay American,
He
would
wrote
you
Robot
fuck
Chicken.
Seth Green?
He did, no.
I made Robot Chicken.
He'd be like, "Do you know who I am?"
Alright, we're running
I
low on
was
power.
like
We gotta go.
Scooby-Doo
Alright.
too.
Chop chop. Okay, talking about your thoughts.
Scooby-Doo 2 was alright, and it had some good moments, and it was okay. 2.5 stars, 2 3/4 stars. Connor, what did you think of Scooby-Doo 2?
Scooby-Doo 2 is based. I love it. Like I said, it is the end of a trilogy that doesn't exist because they never made a number 2. But it's set up like the end of a trilogy. It's shot like the end of a trilogy. It's the end of a trilogy. But number 2 was never made. So Aidan, what did you think of Scooby-Doo 3, Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed?
It's decent. I think there's way too many special effects, which kind of drags the movie down because it has not aged well. It's not nearly the hilarious time capsule the first one is.
Right.
It's not extremely horny and there's no ska, and instead there's like really generic 2006 needle drops in here. And then for some reason fucking Bon Jovi starts playing during the big action scene at the end. I think it's kind of charming to see all the old monsters from the cartoon come back.
Just presenting something.
And they kind of do creative stuff with the monsters a little bit, but not that much. The villain's really boring.
Maya just did a big stretch.
I don't care about the guy dressed as a girl dressed there's a weird robot man who says,
Who tricked
Mystery Inc., you're a bunch of fakers.
Who
Who's
tricked the camera
fake.
guy into fucking him?
Yeah, he had sex with the Indian camera guy. And then Ray Romano's dad is in the fucking bar, and Scooby-Doo comes in blackface and starts disco dancing. But yeah, the movie needed more ska and it needed to be more horny. But it's kind of fun. It had a couple gags I laughed at. I think it's charming to see all the 60s villains brought to the modern age. I like all the main cast again. I think they do their roles pretty well. Curtis or Luna? Curtis. I think everyone who's not in the main cast is terrible, especially Seth Green, who's only ever been good in the first Austin Powers, the second, whatever Austin Powers.
Second.
He's funny in Austin Powers. I don't know. This movie should have had more ska and been hornier, is my conclusion, but I also liked it, so. And now let's talk about Scooby-Doo 2, a movie that was never made. Grant,
It was never made.
Connor, what is the plot of Scooby-Doo 2, the unmade midquel between Scooby-Doo and Monsters Unleashed?
Fucking make it.
Yeah, what do you think the plot?
What do you think of the leaked script?
If
for
they made a
Scooby-Doo?
plot, Scooby-Doo 2 would be them returning to the homeland. It would have been made at a time between 2001 and 2004, so it still would have featured like ska and like pop punk and pop ska, pop punk, Outcast.
Outcast, yeah.
Outcast would have been on it, of course, but you also would have had.
You know what these movies are missing?
Or you would have had a lot of people on. Offspring would have been on the soundtrack.
You know what I would have done in this movie?
You know, we're talking about a time between the start
You know
and
what would have
the
tied this whole movie
continuation of
together?
the Iraq War. So we would have had a little bit of like
Okay, hear me out for a second.
anti-Middle Eastern hate.
Sure. You know what would have tied this movie together?
What's that?
Instead of the scene where they go to the bad guy bar and disco dance to Let Me Be Myself, they should have gone into the bar dressed with they should have had like spiked hair and spiked tips and like fucking wife beaters with skulls on them, and it should have played Outcasts. No, not Outcast. Fucking. It should have played fucking The Offspring's Pretty Fly for a White Guy. That would have tied this whole movie together. I think. Would have brought in a little ska. Would have brought in a little racial humor.
Would you recommend Scooby-Doo 2 Escape to Africa?
I think it's a little less interesting than the first one because it's not a time capsule of the worst period of human history. But what it is a somewhat charming love letter to the 60s show.
Your battery's about to die.
And yeah, I mean, I don't like it as much as the first one, but I still think it's pretty decent. I would definitely recommend the first one because there's a certain comedy to watching the early 2000s that this one kind of lacks, but this one still kind of has a charm. I just recommend it a little less. Connor, would you recommend Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed?
I recommend Scooby-Doo 2 over Scooby-Doo 1. I think it's a slightly better movie overall.
It's a better movie, but
It's
it
a
doesn't
lot
have
less
ska.
obnoxious, but
It's
it
not
isn't
horny.
a 2000s time capsule. If you were born after the early 2000s and
After
you didn't get
9/11.
an experience, if you were born after 9/11, you probably couldn't have cognitively experienced what it was
Ska.
like to
You
live.
couldn't have cognitively experienced ska. If
Yeah, you couldn't
weren't
cognitively have
The
experienced
thing is,
the things that are shown in Scooby-Doo,
If
and
you were-
thus you should watch Scooby-Doo.
if you were born after 9/11 and you put ska on your headphones on your Apple
Nothing
Music,
plays.
nothing plays. It's just silence. You can't hear
It's
it.
like that one frequency that
It's-
only teens can hear, except the opposite way.
Yeah, it's like a dog whistle where only dogs can hear it.
You play ska, and
And if you were born after 9/11, You put on ska and it's just an hour of silence and you're like, what the fuck?
You put on ska, all the millennials turn their head, but all the Zoomers are just still doing whatever they're doing.
And that's exactly right. Grant, what do you think of, or would you recommend Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed?
Well, speaking of 9/11, yeah, you know.
Good times, 9/11.
Good times, man.
A better time.
I was only 3 when 9/11 happened, 3 and 4 months.
I
You
think
ever think about
I was 40 months old when 9/11 happened.
I was
only 40
remember-
months had passed, and then the
I was in
world came to-
I was in kindergarten when 9/11 happened, and the 6th graders at my school went around asking all the kids with a video camera what they thought of 9/11. And for some reason I got selected and they came up and they're like, what'd you think of 9/11? And I was like, I don't know, 9/11 is I'm 5 years old, I want to eat crayon. Very weird. That videotape is out there somewhere. I don't
it's
know
still
where.
on your
Somewhere in
resume
the
to
world.
this day.
Somewhere in the world.
Yeah, it's the first thing listed on my IMDb biography. IMDb.
I'd recommend Scooby-Doo Volume 2, Electric Boogaloo, because it was a little bit better than the first. It was
Grant,
more
where were
fun
you
out.
on 9/11?
I was in kindergarten.
What do you think of it?
We all watched the towers fall, and then the kindergarten teacher was just crying. And I was
Right.
like, oh,
I
that's
have a more
weird.
important question.
Would you have fucked Osama bin Laden?
No, what? No.
How much money
No,
would it take for you to fuck Osama bin Laden, Grant?
Hold on. So we're all in agreement that Scooby-Doo has human level intelligence.
Yes.
If Scooby-Doo consented, would you fuck him, Grant?
No.
Grant, would you fuck Scooby-Doo if he
No.
consented?
What if he begged?
What if Scooby-Doo super
He rolled over on his stomach and said, Reese Grant! Reese Grant!
Where was
Put your Reese in me!
Where was Scooby-Doo on 9/11?
He's a dog, so...
He was on Monster Island.
He was watching TV with Shaggy.
Well, no.
it, Scoob.
No, because there's a time skip in this movie. And this movie came out in 2004. So most likely, 9/11 happened during the breakup after the opening scene.
No, because the first Scooby-Doo I think came out in 2001.
So it was right
No,
after.
it came out-
was 2004.
It came out in 2002, didn't it? So during the time skip, 9/11 most likely happened during the time skip, which meant Scooby and Shaggy were probably living in the van, smoking weed and eating burgers on their portable grill.
They opened their van door and then everyone was just like screaming and
And
crying.
in that case, no, I choose to believe that Shaggy and Scooby never found out 9/11 happened.
Oh, Scooby-Doo came out in 2002, and so is the time skip, and it's likely that, yeah, Scooby-Doo was kind of just in his fucking van, eating wieners and smoking it up with Scooby.
Roland,
Scooby and Shaggy.
Rowan Atkinson comes out and says, something terrible just happened to the towers. And Shaggy's like, ooh, I love
Rowan
those towers.
Atkinson walks out in the turtle suit and he goes, I'm a turtle.
I'm a turtle. I'm a turtle.
Shaggy's
I'm
like,
a
I love
turtle.
those towers.
Turtle.
What happened to them?
Turtle.
And Rowan's like, nothing, Shaggy. Nothing happened.
My favorite tower's coming too. I can't wait to see the Twin
There
Towers.
should have been a scene when they were at the airport where Freddy's like, I hope no terrorist fucks hijack this.
No.
And Scooby's like, what's a terrorist?
Rowell Reds.
And then
Like Scoob and those Islamic fucks knocked down the Twin Towers.
Scoob, it's our patriotic duty. We gotta sign up.
Like Scoob, I got drafted to the Iraq War.
Imagine Shaggy in Afghanistan, like with a gun. He's just like, get down off the fucking ground, I swear to God. Scooby's like, "Ree."
Right where to rock and rod. Right part of Real Remix.
it's like American Sniper, but instead of fucking
Chris Kyle.
Bradley Cooper, Scooby-Doo has the sniper and he has to shoot the child because the child has a bomb vest on.
Roll through it. roll, run, boy.
Oh, fuck Shaggy.
Chris Romick, run.
Right here. I shot a child. I run. Oh, that's fucked up, Scoob. We gotta go, man. We gotta do
Scoob, good job. We gotta do what we gotta do. Like Scoob. Don't forget. Sam thanks you for your Patreon.
Don't forget the towers, Scoob. Don't forget the towers.
He puts it right next to the Scooby-Doo logo.
Oh shit.
He gives him necklace instead of the Scooby-Doo logo. It's like the purple. He's like, really? Riot.
Oh no, Scooby-Doo gets shot down in Iraq, and instead of taking his dog, takes him. His
there's
Shaggy
there's
has
a
to
scene-
take.
No,
Shaggy
he has to
takes
take
the dog
Scooby-Doo
tag.
symbol. He takes the Scooby-Doo symbol. He's like, here. He gives it to Velma. Velma starts crying. He's like, that's all that was left of Scooby.
Well, Daphne's the one that kissed Scooby. You should probably give it to her.
Right.
Scooby-Doo's at a shooting range and he gets shot in the back by his friend Shaggy. I gotta do it, Scoob. You're a monster now.
No, Fred shoots Scooby in the back. Shaggy commits suicide after everything he went through in the war.
Fred has PTSD and shoots Shaggy. Or shoots Scooby.
Are you cutting this out?
No.
This is base.
This is great.
good stuff.
This is funny.
Well, battery's basically dead. Thanks for watching our review of the Scooby-Doo movie.
Our review of Scooby-Doo
The
2.
Scooby-Dooology.
And our
The Scooby-Dooology. I didn't even mean to do that. I meant to do Scooby-Doo duology, and it just came out as Scooby-Dooology.
Thanks for listening to our pitch about Scooby in Afghanistan. Please contact us at this email. We accept traveler's checks. We want a 12-part series on Hulu.
HBO Max, baby.
Give us
Disney
money.
owns the rights.
Yeah, Velma, Mindy Kaling fucked up. We can't do worse than her.
We can't do worse than her. What about Scooby-Doo in a post 9/11 world?
Scooby-Doo.
All right, HBO representatives, imagine a Mystery Inc. that's so riled up by terrorism they instantly enlist.
No, the Mystery Inc. finds Osama bin Laden. We found him. He's hiding right here. Like, feel the wrath of Scoob Team 5. We gotta go. Operation Neptune Scoop.
Saving Private Scooby.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby's like, really?
Matt Damon plays Fred.
A real ribbon and real ribbon. Scooby's got war paint on.
Oh no, wait. Matt Damon is. Wait.
Tom Hanks plays Fred.
Yeah, Matt Damon's the asshole in that movie. He's Ryan.
Yeah, but he's not an asshole.
Yes, he is.
Is he?
Yeah.
That movie's 4 hours long.
No,
I don't remember all
the
of it.
whole thing is that Matt Damon is a spoiled rich kid who got kidnapped, and his dad is rich, and that's why they went to save him.
Mm.
And then Tom Hanks meets Matt Damon, and he's like, Matt.